I want to talk about resentment for a second. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I was in a therapy session with my therapist, and she was like, resentment is really just feelings with no place to go, and or emotions with no place to go. And really at the core of that is just like how resentment can arise, and like we hold on to these negative emotions without like having a healthy outlet for them. And that outlet might be like therapy or expressing a need that's not being met. But like when we hold on to resentment without finding that productive outlet, it lingers, it grows, and like causes emotional distress and impacts our overall like well-being, which is resentment. And so having these like unresolved emotions trapped within us affects our relationships, how we show up, how we feel, like health, happiness, all of the things. And so I really loved that term because I had never thought about it in that way. And so if you ever come up against the feeling of resentment or find somebody who is experiencing resentfulness, you can share with them that it's really just emotions with no place to go, your feelings with no place to go. You're not expressing those emotions as they need to be. And like one way to do that, I mentioned therapy, but another way that I've done this 2 times now with 2 separate people, and it has been the most profound experiences that I've not ever had, but it's up there. And it's been like somatic emotional release techniques that are like somatic in nature. And so let me rewind a little bit to like catch you up to speed. But basically, you hear people say this all the time, the body keeps score, right? And so like what that means is just that our bodies have a profound capacity to remember and register the impact of like all of our experiences, especially if there's traumatic ones. And I always give a disclaimer when I talk about trauma, because I think that our like conditioned belief around trauma is that it's this like huge, crazy event. But often they can be like little t traumas, like, a smaller instance that your body just like remembers. And because we're so like interdimensional, like in our body keeps record of our experiences, even if our conscious minds don't fully recall them or can comprehend them. Think about like maybe when you're a child, that emotion, that energy gets stored up in like your tissues in your body and all of the things. And like when you experience those things, your brain and your body responds with like physiological changes or even biochemical changes in your brain as a part of a stress response when you are experiencing something. And so like think about when something's happening to you that's maybe scary or traumatic or uncomfortable, your heart starts beating fast, your muscles might tense, like your shoulders might be up as you're like doing the thing, and like hormonal shifts begin to happen inside, like altered patterns of brain activity begin to happen. Like this is all science, right? And so sometimes these like intense type of experiences can overwhelm, especially if they're happening like sequentially or very often. They overwhelm the body's ability to like regulate or even process the associated like event fully. And so as an effect of that like stress response, your body stores that in its nervous system and its muscles and its organs and other tissues, which is why when people say like the body keeps score, they're implying that like unresolved or unprocessed experiences, emotions with no place to go, can have lasting effects on your well-being, like chronic pain or like, anything, even like how you move, your chakras being blocked just in general. And so like when I go back to resentment is a place where it's just feelings with no place to go. And one of the ways to like move through your feelings obviously can be expressing a need. It can be going to therapy, but back to emotional release techniques like somatic, work, that has been so profound because somatic like release techniques focus on where in your body you're holding that trauma or you're holding that like emotions with no place to go. So if you're an avid listener to this podcast, or even in the intro of this podcast, I talk about like what was the very first thing, the catalyst of my like spiritual journey just in general. And it was like being out of alignment in work and like not expressing how I felt and having a blocked throat chakra, which developed hearing issues. And I had no idea that I had a blocked throat chakra, but really I was holding a bunch of energy here. And so another place that I was holding a bunch of energy was like in my like solar plexus area. And so when I did 2 somatic sessions, one was just unintentional. I went to Montana, went to this spa and looked at the services, and there was like one like woo-woo service that was like whatever you intuitively need. And I was like, oh, this feels fun. And this like shaman was there and did like somatic healing. And I can't even begin to explain what happened, but I was like sobbing, and I could feel it in my solar plexus, like honestly, like twitching and shaking. It was crazy, but clearly I was holding a lot of energy there. And clearly with me and my going to a sound bath and like shaking up my throat chakra, obviously I was holding a lot of energy there, and that was manifesting itself in loss of hearing. If you have never heard that episode, it's the very first episode. Also, I talk about it with Sam Harper on that episode a little bit. And then I also talk about the experience with the shaman at the spa with my episode, on my episode with Jess DeRose. So those are 2 episodes that you can kind of go back to and reference. But all in all, process your emotions, ladies and gents, because it is literally the key to like well-being, but also just like letting go of resentment, because you have that energetic block of resentment that's holding you up in something. Like that's actually holding you back from whatever it is that you want in life. So resentment, process it, emotions, process them, and figure out what modality, what person, what resource, what needs that need to be expressed to be able to like let that move those feelings through and out of within. Anyways, that's all for now. Short microdose of an episode on resentment, and I will talk to you guys next time.